Righty, we seem to be live. Hopefully we've got some audio. I'm hoping that's working. I had a few problems getting everything set up earlier, but you don't want to hear that. Okay, so today I'm going to be working on this picture here. I blocked it in this morning. I'm going to be working on the trees in the distance. Now, this is my second, I think it's my second live stream on YouTube. So think of this video as like the director's cut of a normal YouTube video. So you're just going to see more of it. There's going to be less time lapse. It's all going to be real time, unedited, obviously. It's not going to be, you know, like loads and loads of instruction. We reserve that for MGS TV. So for members on there, but I'm going to give a little bit of instruction, probably what you'd get in a YouTube video. In fact, I will be filming a YouTube video of this at the same time. So hopefully it all works out. I'm going to forget things. I'm going to forget to change the view of the camera from that to that and so on. But, you know, it's unedited. It's just raw. So I'm going to get working on it now. So as I say, this is what I've been working on. Let's zoom in, actually. That's the painting. That's what we're going to be doing. That is the reference photograph. Sit that right next to the painting, but let's zoom in. This is the area here that I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be working on most of it in this video. All right, just jiggle the camera around a second. Excuse me while I line everything up. Okay, just zoom in a touch. Okay, hopefully you can all see that. Just adjust the levels. Okay, all right. I think we're good to go. So, got my paints on the palette, blocked in acrylic, moving over to regular oils now. Okay, right. So let's give that sky a coat. It's all dry, ready to go. So in this live stream, my idea is that I do more of these live streams. Basically, I just want more content to go out on YouTube. A few years ago, we had much more content going. I think I was doing one video a week. Sometimes I did two. I managed to get two out in a week. Well, I'm trying to get back to that if I can. I do enjoy doing the YouTube videos, so we'll see. Okay, let's just give this sky a little bit of a coat. In the reference photograph, this tree does come over some of the sky, so I'm not going to do too much. In fact, if I do anything, it will just be a very thin coat of paint there. I will keep my eye on the comments, but I won't necessarily, while I'm working, be able to answer everyone. So I apologise for that in advance. Okay, so that's blocked in. Well, not blocked in. That's covered over. Start working on these trees. Always work from the background forward. So let's have a look. So I'm being asked, don't you want to place something? Let's go over here. Don't you want to place something unexpected in the painting so it's not a direct copy of the photograph? Well, it's not going to be a direct copy of the photograph. I have changed a few things. I've reduced lowered the horizon line. The photograph's got lens flare. I'm not putting that in, but the thing that I'm trying to do, the number one thing for me is for this to look as realistic as possible. Now, it's not going to be identical to the photograph. It's just going to be as close to realism as I can get it. And as I start deviating away from any reference photograph, that's when things start to look less real. And my objective is for it to look real. So I'm not going to deviate away too much. Hope that answers your question. Okay, I'm going to start working over here. In fact, I'm going to set my other camera up so that this is the YouTube camera now. So I'm now recording on that as well as this live stream. Okay. So by the way, if you don't want to see the whole live stream, even if you're watching it later on, once it's been recorded, if you don't want to watch the whole thing and you just want to see the interesting bits, if you like, then the YouTube video of this will go live next week. Okay, so let's get working on it then. I'm not going to just chat through the whole thing. No one wants to hear me chatting through the whole thing. So just as a warning, just to let you know. Right, so I'm going to start working on these trees here. I want to, I mean, it's difficult to see because I do have lens flare in here, which isn't going to go in the painting. And I think it's lightened that area up, having that lens flare in. So I am going to do it maybe slightly darker. The idea is that I'm blocking in the middle tone. Now, this is by far from middle tone. And that's just because using acrylic on a white smooth surface, it's difficult to get that. But that's what I'm trying to do. So if we imagine that we have low lights, mid tones, and highlights in this area here of tree, if you imagine that we've already done the mid-tones in this, we now need to add the darks, and then we can add the lights. Not covering over the whole thing. You will still see little bits of that blocking underneath. And in a way, this is mixed media because I've used acrylic and oil. I always refer to them as oil paintings, but when I do block in acrylic, then really it's mixed media. Okay, right, let's stop rambling. Let's get on with some painting. Also in this, I'm not going to be going into color mixing at all. That I'm going to save once again for my online painting school. So if that's something that you think you'd be interested in, literally for the price of a cup of coffee once a week, you can have access to my online painting school where everything is covered, absolutely everything. Nothing is missed out. We talk about the colors, we talk about the technique, and I instruct throughout. There's hundreds and hundreds of hours, or thousands actually, of hours of tuition. So MJS TV, www.michaeljamesmith.tv. Go and check it out. So I'm adding as you can see, adding the darker tones, and it's really where I can see them in the photograph because there's some lighter areas up here. So I'm not just going to do a solid like I have here, the solid layer of color. I'll change to a different brush probably as the further up I go, and I'll show you that in a moment. But just the darkest areas are just going to be pretty much flat color like this. Hello, Beverly from Canada there. Thank you for joining me today. Vernon is asking, do I ever paint on a large scale? Not so much these days. I used to do that a lot well, back in the day. But no, not so much now, because everything I paint now is for either for lesson or it's for social media. And really, painting on a large scale takes a long time, and it just means that I get less content painted. Susan also is joining us from Canada. Hi, Susan. Okay, so now we're starting to move away from having the solid, more solid areas. I'm going to change to a different brush. The tree and texture brush, which is this one here. It's a stiffer brush, and it allows us, rather than to have a smooth area of paint, it gives us more of a stipple, which is perfect. So you don't want too much on the brush. But I'm now doing a stipple. So this is where you get to see some of that area of blocking still there, still underneath. Once we've got all of these darker elements in place, we'll then work on the tree line before we then move over to the highlights. Pretty simple, really. It's kind of 3 or 4 steps. The blocking, add in the darker tones, add in the details around the edge of the tree and things like branches, and then the highlights. Hi, Angela from Brazil. Thank you for joining me. I am acutely aware that there is it's going to be difficult for some people to join this video live, and we're going to try and change when we do the live stream. So we'll mix it up a little bit so everybody gets to watch live or at some point. Obviously, not everyone's going to be able to do it at the same time, but we'll give everybody a fair crack of the whip. So that'll probably end up being a later, for me, a later live stream. But we'll see what we can do. Okay, right. So hopefully you can see that there's quite a lot of the blocking still under there. That's the benefit, in a way, to blocking in and trying to get the colours as real as you can. I mean, if I was to just do a wash, like a burnt sienna wash over this, that a lot of people do, you're then having to completely cover over that. It's just a lot of time, and it deadens your painting as well. So block it. I like to block it in the correct swap, as near to the correct colour as I can. It makes the next bit that bit easier. Do you ever put people in your paintings? Thinker 888. Occasionally, yeah, I have done. In fact, I might show you it in a minute. I might show you it later on. I've got a city scene that I've been working on for flipping ages. And it's just been sitting on the floor here. I haven't touched it in probably about 5 years, but that's got loads of people in it. So I do, if it's needed, yes, I'll put people in it. But in landscapes, not that often, if I'm honest. I like the peacefulness of a undisturbed landscape. Okay, right. So as I said, we've done the first stage with the blocking, the second stage adding the darks. Now I'm going to add, just put the detailing in the tree line there, because as you can see, we have a block in. We can see that edge of the block in. We need to lose that. We've got sky, and then we've just got solid tree. You don't get that in real life. You get gaps in the trees. So let's work on that first of all. This, by the way, is the Series 2, size 20, available from my website. The link is in the description below. In fact, I don't think I'm going to use that brush. I'm going to use a rigger brush, which is the Series 1, size 50. So that's the smaller of the rigger brushes. Okay, I've just done something a little bit silly. Where I blocked it in, obviously I had blocked in acrylic, I had water. There's my my brush cleaner, and I've just tried to mix the water with the oil paint. So I'm now going to pick that oil paint up off my palette, get rid of that, and we'll try and mix that again. Silly boy. Okay, let's try that again. So I have to give the brush a good clean now. Make sure that there's no water on there. Okay, so mix up some more. Often when you get these areas of tree just going over the sky here, they tend to have more of a blue sort of tint to them. They'll be slightly lighter and a little bit more blue. And I suppose really it's an issue with a camera. It's probably not something that actually, that doesn't blue leaves, but it's just would it be an aberration? I don't know. It's something to do with the camera. Let's just put it that way. So just small little dots here. Just trying to sort of mimic a little bit of what I can see in the reference photograph. And we're just trying to lose that solid line that you can see there. In a minute, what we'll do is we'll also add some of the sky into the tree, just here and there. So as we get to this bit here, it's a lot more dense, and we have a couple of larger branches in there. One of the benefits to this brush is being able to do delicate little lines, whether you're painting hair or fur, tree branches, anything like that. The brush is perfect for that. Or even, as the name suggests, a rigger brush, painting the rigging on ships. It's unbeatable. And actually, this rigger brush comes in various different sizes, but this isn't the thinnest one. If you need to get really thin brush marks, we've got another one that's even thinner than this, the 10-0. So we've got 122 people in the live stream, which is pretty good. Let's see if we can get that to, see if we can get it to 200. Tell your friends. Right, so there we go. That's kind of started to lose that blocking line now. Still looks quite solid, so I'm just going to clean the brush out, and I'm going to add some sky in there. Hi Frankie, another Canadian that's joining us. Good to see you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to see me, little old me. So just here and there. I don't want this to be too, what's the word? Too even. I don't want it to be too, these little light bits, too neat, and they need to have a certain level of randomness to them to make them look real. And already you can see that we've now done a pretty good job of losing that blocking line. Doesn't take long. Okay, right. So quite pleased with that so far. What I'm going to do now is start adding some of those highlights. Hi, David Martin. Thank you again for joining. Tomahawk 999, well, 1999. Hello there. Yes, Alexander, this is oil. Well, it's oil now. The blocking is acrylic. The paint that I'm putting on now is oil. Right, let's move over to the highlights. So just getting my colors correct, first of all. Referring to my reference photograph. So I've got my palette just down here. Reference photograph here. And what I do is I just grab the brush, pick up some paint, hold it up against the reference photograph. Just check the colors are near, make any adjustments that I need to. And then back to the painting, and hopefully okay, so I'm using the same brush, but what I've done is I've thinned the paint a little bit. I've added some medium, so I've just added a small amount of linseed oil. And that is going to help this paint lay on top of the wet paint that we've just put down. So if I went in and the paint was the same consistency as that darker layer, then it wouldn't sit on top so well. So adjust the consistency. You could even add a little bit of thinner if you wanted. As long as the consistency has changed, then it should sit on top fine. And I'm trying to really keep these dots of the highlights relatively small. They're not, once again, there's a randomness to it. So it's tiny dots and little squiggles and lines. It might seem as if it's going to be a very time-consuming process, but you'll be amazed at just how quickly this is going to work. Okay, I'm going to start moving over to more of a darker shade now, because not all of this is in the sun. We have Julie J from Adelaide in Australia. Hi, Julie. Totty, do you want to paint also your own fantasy? No, not really. There are plenty of people that are doing that. I'm not really interested. I enjoy just the skill of trying to paint something that's realistic. And that's just what I've always done. It's what I've always enjoyed. I'm not really interested in making scenes up. It's just not my cup of tea. Let's just say that. Tomahawk 1999. It is going to be uploaded. So once you finish your meeting, you can come back and you can watch it. It won't be live, of course, but it's all going to be there. I'm not taking it down. Hi from Brazil, Carlos. Well, hello from England. So hopefully you can see now that the paint that I'm putting on is slightly darker. That area of shade, and I think probably could even be darker than this. So that area of tree in the shade, so not only does that darken when it's in the shade, but it becomes cooler as well, and that's where we can add a blue. Okay, we are starting to get this to look pretty good. Right, I'm going to lighten up again now. As we get to this tree here. Griffin's Food. Hello, Michael. Hello from Poland. Well, hello there. Do you remember when you sold your first job, and what was it? Oh, gosh, let me have a think about that. I remember when I first started, I think I had various relatives support me by buying some of the early works. Whether that was the first ones I sold, I don't really know. I remember quitting college, and my dad said to me, I'm going to support you if you want to become a professional artist. He is an artist himself. He said, I'll support you for a year. And in that year, you need to, you're then on your own. So I set to work, and first few pictures I painted were okay. I mean, I'd been sort of painting on and off just for fun, but the ones that when I first started painting, thinking, right, that's it, I'm now a professional artist. I did a batch of maybe 4 paintings. Took me forever to do these paintings, and then I took them to a local gallery, and they took them in on a sale or return basis. So they didn't buy them, but they took them on consignment, and it was probably an hour's journey or something like that back home after I dropped them off, all excited. And before I got back, the owner of the gallery had sold one of them, and when I got back, there was a phone call or a message saying, we've sold one of your paintings. So that was probably the first professional painting that I sold. Now, what was it? There would have been a landscape, but I don't know what. And then we have more of the shade. So back to that cooler, slightly darker tone. Gosh, it's getting warm in here. I think I'm going to have to turn my heater down. There we go. Hi, Rhiannon. Rhiannon asks if I'm well. Yeah, very well, thank you. All good here. Hi, Simai. I missed you too. Or see me, probably. That see me. Must be see me. Do you make any big mistakes where you have to redo areas or start over again in your videos? Oh, in your videos, you seem to have perfected the process now. Yeah, I don't make as many mistakes now, certainly, as I used to. And really, I put that down to being less, well, I'm better able to replicate what I see in the reference photograph. I'm just much more careful in the past, and I think maybe it's the same for everyone. I don't know, but before I used to have the YouTube channel and used to teach painting, the way I earned money, of course, as it is with many artists, it was to sell my work. And that was how I did it. I had an agent, I had galleries that would regularly buy. And that's how I made a living. And back in those days, it's like a production process, like a factory process. So one picture goes on the easel, gets finished and it's taken off, and the next one's put on. And that's how you make your living. So there were times where you had to work out techniques to make the whole process quicker. And when you're doing that, if you're not able to take your time and be really, perfect with your brush strokes, because, time is not your friend, then yeah, you can make mistakes. Nowadays, not so much, because I can just take it easy. I can take my time over a picture. I can prioritize, getting the details and everything perfect, rather than just, I need to get this picture sold. So, that's just one of the things there with when you're as I would consider a journeyman artist. So I'm trying to keep these brush strokes the same sort of size. All right, let's move over to the lighter tones again. Griffin's Food. It's a beautiful story. I'll thank you very much. What shades of green would you recommend to start with, such as a basic set? So a basic set of greens. Well, I think sap green, yeah, is definitely a goer. That's always on my list. Although the sap green in my set, my own professional set, is different to a sap green that you get anywhere else, in that it's got a little bit more bite. It's a bit cooler as well. So that's the first one. Vermilion hue is another green which I use a lot, so that will sort of push it in that sort of cooler direction, a bit more vermilion. Vermilion is a very transparent green, but once again, it's great for adding to the acidity of the color, so really making it pop. So they're the two greens really that I would use. I think they're the only two greens that are in my set. So if you check out my website, there are 20 colors on there, which are my go-to colors. And some, I mean, they're all important. I use them all. Some are more important, or some are used more often than others. That's probably the best way of putting it. But they're my go-to colors. So check that out. Link in the description below. Hi, David Conti, British Columbia. Thank you for joining me. So we are making some pretty good progress so far with this set of trees here. There's still a fair amount more to do. I can see quite a few branches in there as well, which we'll have to start working on. But we'll just get the majority of the foliage in place first. This area here is lighter again, so I'm going to have to move back to the more mid-green. Right, I think what I'm going to do is put some of the branches in now. So I need to mix up a different colour. Let's see, now I've got some branches in here. They're very subtle, but they're just going over this tree. Let's go in with something cool. I don't want it to be warm in colour. It needs to be similar to the background there, probably a little darker. All right, let's see if that's okay. So it's really subtle. You can actually only just about see them. Okay, so you can't really see them that well, but they're there. And I think if you were looking closely, there's some more here. In fact, let's just rest on this maul stick. Okay, and then the tree on the left, let's get that done now. So it's this one here on the far left that's just that little bit lighter. Other than that, it's looking similar. Colours slightly different perhaps, I'm not too concerned about that. Okay, we'll use that to rest my hand on. Hi, Charlotte from Sweden. Happy New Year to you too. Looking forward to more of the streams. I like hearing you talk about your paintings and the process. So that's really good. I mean, I do want to change things up a bit, and I think I enjoy doing the live streams. So there will be more. There will be more to come. I'm not stopping doing the regular YouTube videos. They're always going to be my main thing, I think. But adding some behind the scenes, I think will be an interesting addition. So I'm glad you like them. Peter Bunyan, how are you, sir? Thank you for your kind comments again. We have, what do we have? Bolivia. We have, so how would you pronounce that? Hasten? Silvestre? Silvestre? From Bolivia. Anyway, probably didn't do that pronunciation justice. Apologies. But thanks for joining me. Good morning, Grace. Thanks for joining me. Well, we broke the 130 mark for viewers. Let's see if we can push that up to 150. I think that's a fair number. So with this tree here, there are some much lighter colors, which we'll do momentarily. Let's just get this tone everywhere where it needs to be before I then lighten up. So when I do this, I'm hardly putting any pressure. In fact, there's no pressure. It's just the very tip of the brush is touching the panel. So I'm kind of on the panel, sorry, and I'm kind of picking up almost a drip of paint on the brush. So I'm not picking that up evenly across the whole length of the brush. I'm just getting a drip on that on the very end there. Okay, let's throw in a few more branches before we then add some of those highlights. Hi, Pen from China. Thank you for joining me. Hope you're well. You need to draw a squirrel. Well, maybe I will. Maybe I will. I think you barely see the squirrel if I painted it in this picture. Just be the smallest dot. Hi, South Korea. Which brush are you currently using? This is the Series 1. So it's a rigger brush. And this is the 50. Do you draw without music? Pretty much, yeah. Mostly I do. Mostly I do. Sometimes, if I'm not filming, might have some golf on the TV. But no, mainly I paint without music because usually I'm filming. So perfectly silent, apart from the drone of my own voice. Hi, Stephen. I love how you make painting look so relaxed and effortless. Do you sell your paintings varnished or unvarnished? I sell them varnished. I think it's important to show your paintings in their best light. And the thing is, without the varnish, you get some areas that have a slight sheen, a slight gloss, and then others that are matte. And it kind of kills the painting. I mean, one of the effects I get, one of the effects that I put into the painting is there's a 3D effect that you can get if you use opaque colors over the top of transparent colors. And unless you varnish the painting with a gloss varnish, you won't see that. And that 3D, I mean, I think I've explained it in the past, but the 3D effect will really make the opaque color look like it's, hovering above the transparent color below. So yeah, you don't get that type of effect if your painting's not varnished. So always varnish my paintings. Right, I'm going to just fit in a few more darker branches now. Just in here. Right, so I've done that. I think what I'm going to do now is just to add to that random nature, I'm going to move over to the fan brush. This is the Series 4 fan brush. This is an older one. And let me show you what a newer one would look like. So there you go. Old, new. Just got a little bit more of a tatty edge. In fact, you could use the new one. It doesn't really matter which one you use, but I just want to use the corner of it. I'm going to add a little bit more work to the canopies. Just to add some sort of randomness to those highlights mainly. So it just picks up a little bit of paint on the tip, on the corner of the brush. And it's really just kind of finishing off these highlights. So Jerry is asking, why do I only use ivory black? Well, actually, I use, I've changed from ivory black to lamp black. I don't use ivory black at the moment anymore. My set is comes with lamp black. So Rhiannon is asking, have you ever used water mixable oils as a base layer for the blocking? And then use regular oils on top? Is it archival? Well, to use the well, actually, I've only used water mixables very, very briefly. I bought some many years ago now. Actually, I think I might have purchased it by accident. I think I'd actually accidentally put it in the cart and I didn't mean to, and purchased them some online transaction. So gave them a try and didn't like them. I found that the colours weren't terribly strong. Covering power wasn't that good, so I've never used them. So can you use them? I'm sure you could use them as a block-in. But one of the things, if you really don't want to use acrylic, what you can do is use regular oils, but use something like an alkyd flow medium or a liquid or something like that, just to aid the drying. You will, give it, or you'll lose a bit of covering power if you do that. Or you could use an alkyd oil like the Winsor Newton Griffin line to block in. That would be dry in a couple of days, and that would allow you to then, well, 2 or 3 days, depending upon the climate. And then you could use regular oils to go over the top of that. But I really don't. I'm not overly keen on acrylics, if I'm honest. I find they're difficult to work with, but they are brilliant if you want to get working on your painting quickly. So shouldn't bash them really. But yeah, I don't ever have a problem myself with using the acrylics. Just joining in from the US, Maryland. Hi, Laura. Sorry. Can I apply these principles with just acrylic? Don't use oils. Yeah, you can. Yeah. The only problem you may have, you probably will have, unless you use something like a retardant, something that will slow the drying time down, is blending. So if you need to have a blended sky with a darker blue at the top and a lighter blue at the bottom, yeah, you might struggle a little bit with that, but it won't, you'll be fine. All of these techniques you can use with acrylic as well. And I'm always telling people that are wanting to join my painting school that don't like using oils, that go ahead, use acrylics. They are just as good. Well, now I personally prefer oils, but you can get just as good a result with acrylics. In fact, on my school we have hundreds and hundreds of artists that do my lessons, follow the lessons with acrylics only, and their results are amazing. So anyway, that's that set of trees done. I think what we'll do now is let's have a think. Shall we just start working on these, or shall we leave the live stream? How long have we been? Does anyone know how long we've been? Does anyone know how long we've been on the live stream for? It's got to be an hour, isn't it? Just check through some more of your comments. Okay, I think we're up today. 79 minutes. Hour and 20 minutes. Well, we could continue. Or we could just continue in the next video. I think we might continue in the next video, you know. So Thursday today, Friday tomorrow. So yeah, I may well do another live stream tomorrow. Probably a similar time, be in the afternoon. But if you can't make it, don't worry. It will be there for you to watch afterwards in the live section on YouTube. So if you go to my channel, you'll have videos and one of the tabs will be live. So you'll be able to log in there. And of course, if you don't want to watch the longer version, you can always watch the short regular YouTube video on this, which will be released next week. It needs to be edited. That's the benefit of the live streams. There's no editing, so it's just uploaded with very little effort. Okay, I think that's probably everything. Pen thinks your tutorial is stolen on a Chinese site. I do actually have some Chinese sites. Well, not Chinese sites. I have some. A lot of my videos go out. We have a branch, if you like, in China because the school runs in China, and a lot of the stuff is promoted. A lot of my footage, a lot of the videos are used for promotion of the school in China. So it might be nicked, it might not. I don't know. All right. Anyway, good to see you all here. Hopefully, we'll see you in the next part where I'm going to tackle this, and I'm going to do a live stream of most of this painting actually. So stick along, stick by me, stick. Just whatever. Just I'll see you next time. All right. Bye for now, everybody.